We were at Tudor Court. When it rained, we couldn't go to the toilets.
Hi, my name is Anna Rajah. I joined the board in 1993. My last role before I left was marketing manager for Northern Europe.
Hi, my name is Asad Shiraz. I was senior director of the tourism marketing group.
So, hi Asad, long time no
Anna.
see.
I'm meeting you after at least 15
I
years.
would say, yeah.
Which year did you leave the board?
I joined in 93
Uh-huh.
and then I left in 2005.
I think I beat you to that.
How many years?
I joined in 1982.
Wow, amazing.
Exactly 20 years
Wow.
after picking up my long service award. Did you have one of these?
Definitely, yeah.
This is my card from when I was a senior officer.
Wow, that's amazing. You still have that.
My role here was to make the arrangements and to design an itinerary that would sell the points of Singapore that we wanted to project overseas. When our overseas officers ran a promotion, we would support that activity from Singapore. For example, if they needed any kind of material like orchids or giveaways from Singapore, we were the ones that would source these things and send it across. That's a picture of me at Tudor Court.
Amazing.
At my workstation back in the 80s. And you know, the funny thing about this office was when it rained, we couldn't go to the toilets. Because the toilets were through the back door that you see in the picture,
Yeah.
down the stairs,
Yeah.
into the open courtyard, and there was the toilet. So if it rained,
Forget it.
hold it in, hold it in. And you notice something? We did not have computers.
So when I joined in 93, one desktop computer, 4 or 5 of us that
Right.
shared that one computer.
So those were real pioneering days, you know.
So when you think back, Asad, very different times to we're in now. So what do you think some of the challenges the tourism board had back then? You know, you were there in the 80s and the 90s, obviously.
Most people saw Singapore only as a stopover destination, but a lot of the traffic was on the kangaroo route between United Kingdom and Australia, and people would just stop over in Singapore and spend very little time here. So one of our objectives became to extend the stay of visitors and of course to spend more in Singapore.
So I remember one of the challenges, which I myself found very frustrating because our own Singaporeans themselves would say that Singapore was boring, there wasn't a lot to do, and you know, they wanted to get out as quickly as they could.
We had a campaign called the Singapore Revolution where we encouraged local tour operators to come up with new tour packages. You remember the time when we moved from surprising Singapore and the most surprising tropical island on earth and the magic place of many worlds onto something more modern, more hip. Our competitors, so to speak, coming up with amazing something or incredible something.
Yeah.
So surprising Singapore didn't sound so unique anymore.
Yeah.
And we came up with
New Asia Singapore.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
remember that. Now suddenly we were positioning this new face of Singapore.
a more modern side,
Diverse
of still
offering.
a very Asian destination.
Yeah, and then from there we took it a little step further from New Asia Singapore and we added on the tagline, which was
Live it up.
Live it up Singapore.
In New Asia Singapore.
Yeah.
You remember this hat?
I do, yes.
And the launch party that we had?
Big launch party.
Who would have thought that a tourism board
Yeah.
would launch a
Yeah.
new campaign
Yeah.
with a foam party on the beach?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely
You
remember
have one
that.
of these too?
I don't actually, so I'm going to take yours.
Fantastic.
And that again took us to another level.
As part of our Live It Up campaign, do you
Yeah.
remember this?
100%. I still stand by the fact that we did some of the best collateral.
And we did this as a
Fantastic.
direct mailer to travel trade across the world.
Amazing.
And then we followed up with another one like that.
I remember this
You
one.
remember
I
this one
remember
too?
This one.
The
Yeah,
books were
yeah.
interactive in themselves. For example, there was a Tang
Privilege
discount
card,
card
yeah.
here and Chinese lantern. Look at that.
So looking back, Asad, what would you say were some of the key events back then?
Back in 84, 85, we started with the light up for festivals.
Yeah.
So for Christmas, Chinese New Year and Hari Raya,
Yeah.
we had light ups in various ethnic areas. Besides decorating the streets, we had a little competition within the tourism board itself
Oh, really?
Different divisions had to dress up their workspaces, decorate them,
Oh, wow.
and we had a competition to see who had the best dressed workstation.
So Food Festival we launched in around 94, I think.
right.
Yeah. So I remember this. We had some great collateral. This was an MRT card, I think.
And then the Great Singapore Sale as well.
Yeah. And again, around that time was the big push on the nightlife in Singapore. So we had Boat Quay and Clarke Quay, Club Street, there was Emerald Hill.
That's right. We had the opening of the Night Safari in 94. We initiated a light up of buildings, monuments and
the
bridges. That's right.
Yeah. And that again was to encourage people to walk around the city.
In the evening.
Yeah, because
That's
again,
right.
one of our big selling points was the fact that we were and still are an incredibly safe destination. I think tourism just taking a different, even within Singapore itself, people took a step back and thought, yeah, tourism is really contributing to the economy.
And as a result, we saw visitor numbers grow
Yeah.
significantly.
Yeah.
Anna, I must say it wasn't plain sailing. We did have major challenges along the way. Can you remember some of them?
Big one that sticks with me is the haze.
Yeah.
Totally out of our control.
We were getting negative publicity.
Yeah, and it was very frustrating because the media kept showing old B-roll footage of when it had been really, really bad. We also had SARS. You may have already left the board by then.
You're right, SARS had a very significant impact on Singapore. At the time, I had already left the tourism board and I was with Wildlife Reserve Singapore.
Okay, yeah.
And we were looking at about an 80% drop in visitorship
Wow.
during that time.
Yeah.
Tough times.
Very tough. And so we had to come up with various initiatives to build that confidence back in Singapore. One of the ones I remember when I was based in London was Singapore Roars. I think it was that ability, our ability to move with the time. So we were fortunate that within the board itself there was not a huge amount of hierarchy, so stuff got approved quite quickly.
We were empowered to do what is right for Singapore's tourism and move on. Yeah. So Anna, over the 12 years you were with the board, you must have had some exciting, memorable moments.
Yeah. Well, there was a big food festival in Aspen and Singapore was participating in the food festival. So we went over with a whole troupe of chefs from some of the top hotels here, cooked up a big storm, Singapore food, which was great. But one of the things I remember about that was staying up until late at night, rolling hundreds and hundreds of onde.
You were rolling them?
Yes, because we didn't have enough people.
You weren't alone. At a food festival in Manila, in the Philippines, Manila and Cebu, we stayed up poking meat on the sticks for satay. Well, over the years, I've had some exciting and fun times too. John Denver came to Singapore.
Oh, right.
And this is a picture of us, John Denver and I,
Oh, wow.
sailing around the Singapore harbour on this lovely yacht called the Harbour Queen. Another great moment was USA office.
Yeah.
Managed to convince a Hollywood production company filming a movie called The Passion Flower. For that, I was involved in making local arrangements. This is a picture of the whole crew outside of the Raffles Hotel. That's Bruce Boxleitner over there, and Barbara Hershey is in the back here. The wonderful thing about working at the Singapore Tourism Board was the bond between colleagues.
Yeah.
We regarded each other more than just colleagues. We were friends.
Yeah.
And now it's been over 20 years since I've left the tourism board, but I've kept in touch with a lot of my ex-colleagues.
Yeah, same for me.
Dear friends.
I think STB was probably one of my career-defining companies that I worked for, and because I was in corporate communications, I did a lot of speech writing for the chairman, but with STB, it was a very sort of flat organisation and you could very easily go into the CE's office and just run stuff by him. That again made my job so much easier because of that comfortable, very nurturing environment that we worked in.
Over the years, I see that the tourism board has developed from being just a marketeer and a promoter of tourism for Singapore to a champion of the industry.
But I would say that the profile of tourism as a whole has really been elevated. Back when I was still at the board, it was a nice to have, whereas now I think the economic contribution that tourism makes is really recognised as being significant.
So Anna, what would you like to say to the very young and energetic new tourism board staff?
Don't do it. And I think really enjoy the experience. I mean, Tourism Board is an amazing organisation to work for. What about you?
Well, as a marketeer, I think there is no higher, bigger, grander product to market than a country.
Yeah.
So here's to
the next generation of tourism ambassadors.
Wonderful.